how to use the Place Along Path feature in Photoshop to create unusual abstract designs. Something like this. Right, first thing to do, just going to go to a new document and File New. Doesn't particularly matter the size of the document, I'm just going to go with a standard size. And then just go up to the gradient tool. Find that in the Tools panel. Just use one of the default gradients. There's a whole range of different gradients available. Just use a fairly colourful one, that's probably going to be best. Now I'm going to use linear. You could use radial for the type. And I'm using difference because I like to blend them in all kinds of ways to create some amazing colourful designs. Change the origin point as you drag across, as well as the length and angle. Straight away you can create some very extreme abstract designs. But I'm going to use that as a source for a pattern. So go to the rectangular marquee tool in the Tools panel. And you can select anywhere. You can make a thin slice or a thick slice. Up to you. Just go over it, just keep looking at it, thinking, is that a really nice colourful bit of design and a little slice that you can use in the Place Along feature. Quite like that one. At any point you can always say, I like that one, and you can go and define it via the Edit menu. So I like to look at it and then think, yep, that's pretty good. Just about that size. And then just go to the Edit menu and define pattern, or use the Patterns panel as well if you've got the latest version. And just give it a name and click OK. Select somewhere else. Edit and define pattern again. You can build up 3 or 4, 15 different patterns. Thin slices, thick slices, up to you. Edit, define pattern. Click OK. Deselect all that. Now File and New. Because I'm going to use that pattern now. But before I do anything else, I want to create a path. And I'm going to use the curvature tool. But you can use the pen tool as well. There's other tools as well available. And I've done other videos about the curvature tool, so you can check those out if you wish. Make certain you're using it as the path option right in the top left. And just click on the document, just add some points and you'll quickly create a path. And you can see there's the path panel as well as the layers panel. You can see the path being built up there, that red line. Now that's for the fill. Just going to use that. I'm using one of the scripts. And you can continue to fill the entire screen with your curve. Press escape once you're happy with your curve. You can also deselect it at any point or make it reappear. Also, you can always go back to the curve using the curvature tool and modify at any point. I say layers and paths, they're the key panels. You can go back and tweak it. Add points to it, move those points if you wish. As well as continue the curve. When you go over a point, you can actually select it and then move it. As I say, you can continue the curve if you wish. Just fill the entire screen, entire layer, with your path. Now make certain it's still selected in the path panel. That's the key thing here. Go to the Edit and Fill. And set the contents to pattern. Set the custom pattern to the one you just created. One of the ones anyway. Define, just select that or select that one. And I created some earlier as well. Make certain the script is on. And select the Place Along Path. Now you could change the blending modes at this point. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep it as normal. Click OK. Now change the pattern scale. Doesn't always particularly reflect as well as it should. But it gives a rough idea, that preview. So you can change the spacing. Space between each of those pattern tiles. And also the pattern scale. I keep it around about this. Yeah, just about there. That's fine. Decrease it all the way to -999 if you wish. Or keep it around. No, make it fairly low, the value. Set the distance from path to 0. Also set the adjust spacing to fit. And you can also modify the colour randomness if you wish as well. Now I'm going to put that to fairly to the max. Personally, it doesn't really make that much difference. It does add a bit of colorization, but not as much as I would like. Anyway, it's fine. So just click OK, and that's it. It's applied. Now you can see it. Now that's pretty intense. It's maybe not exactly what I wanted, so you can undo it at any point. So you can always go to Edit and Undo. Again, click OK there and just run it again. Maybe change the spacing. Slightly, make 550 or whatever. Change the scaling. Again, tweak it. You can tweak it a number of times until you're happy with your design. And it really depends on the source tile as well. You might want to keep trying different source tiles. Up to you. And you can always apply it over and over again. So you can go to, again, Edit and Fill. Click OK there. And again, tweak the values. Change the spacing. Colour randomness. Click OK, and then you've got it applied again. And you can repeat that a number of times. What you can also do, of course, you can always go back to the curvature tool and manipulate the curve. So if you're not happy with the curve, say you've got areas that you've got little gaps there, you can move them around. You can add additional points. You can increase the path. And then rerun it. So edit. Pity there's no repeat fill. Never understood why there's no repeat fill. Anyway, there isn't. Click OK. and spacing. Bit of experimentation, that's the key thing here. Click OK. So once you're happy with your design, what you can then do, go to the layer menu, and new layer. Because what I want to do is I want to fill another layer with a similar design, and I'm going to use blending modes. I'm going to delete that work path. Do that via the Path panel. And you can always go back to the curvature tool then and create a new path. Or use the pen tool. Now you could apply it using the same path, but then the path would just go overlap the existing one. Not so effective. And to be honest, it's quite hard to see the red line when you're got quite an intense image. So I like to create a completely new path instead of trying to edit it. And you can go outside of the layer. Just drag it around. Once you're happy with everything, press escape. Now you've got your layer. Make certain that's selected. You don't want to apply it to the old layer. And then go to edit and fill again. Now you can change the pattern. I mean, I've got that pattern there, but I did select other patterns so I could use those. Click OK. Again, modify the pattern scale, shrink it a bit, increase it a bit, up to you. Change the spacing. Very subtle differences between slight move and suddenly the spacing really jumps. So it does minor tweaks. Might be easier just to edit it via the actual field, the spacing field. Click OK. And again, you can always go back, edit and fill. Apply it again. Click OK. Change the scale. Change the spacing. Then click OK. Yeah, that's quite nice. Now you've got two layers now, both filled with very, very colourful designs. Now it does clash. You can go through it, you can see then when you change the blending modes via the layers panel. Darken, they're all pretty intense. Now I'm going to use difference. And again, that is intense, but you can use some other filters to smooth it out a bit. Go over to the Path panel and delete that. At the bottom, just click the delete, the trash can. Now you've got two layers and I'm going to flatten them now. Layer menu and flatten. Now you can go to filter menu. You can go down to stylize and oil paint. So you can then set the stylization, set it fairly high. Set cleanliness fairly high. Don't have to change any of the others because I haven't got the lighting on. Click OK. Now, the one good thing about the good old oil paint, you can apply it 3 or 4 times Doesn't have to be applied just once. So just use the repeat. What you can then do is go to Image and Adjustments and Levels. Just brighten up a bit. Oil paint always seems to make it a bit duller. Click OK. And there you have it, a very intense, weird, abstract design. But you can modify it further, of course. You can apply other filters. You can also apply other adjustments, maybe colour lookup. But you can always go back to the original source gradient. Select a different area and define that as a pattern as well. Just deselect or maybe even add to that gradient. Select a different gradient or just apply it. And this time I'm holding the Shift key down. And you can apply it through, so you can create, even after say 6 or 7 applies, you can get a very abstract looking design, which again you can then go to the rectangular marquee tool, select a thin or thick area, edit and define pattern, click OK, then go back. Now I'm just going to leave that design there. So I'm just going to go to edit and fill, but it won't work because it hasn't got a path. So you need a path. Always remember to have a path there. Now I could use the curvature tool, but this time I'm using the pen tool, just to be different. And you can use other paths as well. You can use, say, a star or a circle or whatever. But the pen tool creates really good, interesting paths, so you can just quickly make a zigzag design there across the entire layer. Again, once you're happy with your design, you can always then press Escape. Make certain it's selected. Then go to Edit and Fill. Make certain you go and select the pattern, because sometimes what I do, I always apply it with the old pattern. So select that, place along path as before, click OK. Now I could again use blending modes there. I could go with difference, but I prefer the flexibility of layers. So once you've applied it, that's it. So it's nice just to use a layer, and you can always remove the layer then. Click OK. Modify the pattern scale and spacing, what you want. Now, just experiment. That's the key thing with this. Just tweak the values, and to be honest, I think just going to the edit field sometimes is easier than using those sliders. So you've got that design there. Now it's perfectly reasonable. That's quite a nice abstract design. But you can do as before, you can go to Layer. Now you could do this 3 or 4 times. You could create, say, 10 layers. But to be honest, with the difference, it would probably end up looking very, very messy. But you could try it. So you've got a new layer. And I'm again going to create a new path. I'm going to go over the document. Maybe this time do it slightly diagonally instead of across, backwards and forwards. Okay, so you've got your path. Press escape once you're happy with that. And you can always change it. You can always go back and modify each of these points if you wish. Select it over there in the path panel. Edit and fill. Again, make certain you got the pattern selected. Script is on. Place along path. Now you can also modify the pattern scale again, as well as spacing. You can also change the brightness randomly. You don't have to keep it just colour randomness. Click OK. And then you've got your design there. Now again, it's too late. You can apply it again. You can just go back and you can edit and fill. If you're not happy with it, click OK. Change some of the settings again. Now, and to be honest, there's only 2 settings to change, but you can just tweak backwards and forwards between those. You will get something you like. I like that. I like that. It's a bit better, a bit closer. And you can always go edit menu again. But I'm not. I'm going to go to the layers panel and difference. Now I could use light and screen. Perfectly reasonable as well. But I'm using difference in this. I like that sort of clash of colour. Layer menu and flatten image. Now you don't have to do that. You could keep them as separate and use them smart objects, etc. So filters and stylize and oil paint. Again, stylization, cleanliness fairly high. Click OK. And you can always apply it 3 or 4 times, 10 times. Smear it in all the way. Then you can go to the image menu and adjustments, or maybe auto tone. Adjustments and levels. Just brighten it up a bit. Just change the input levels to what you want. Move that slider. Click OK. And you can go and apply other filters. You don't have to just keep it as is. You could use find edges. Quite like find edges. And you can always use then the find edges via the edit menu. Change the opacity. Or maybe change the blending modes. But I'm going to cancel this point. I don't want that. I'm also going to cancel the find edges. But you could also use gallery effects, but I'm using 16-bit mode, so the gallery effects are not available. You could use any of the other filters as well, but again, go to the adjustments. There's pretty decent adjustments. Maybe use the distort and wave if you wish as well. So image menu, adjustments, color lookup. And just run through some of those. Cobalt, color blue, gold crimson, sepia, etc. Just run through them. Click OK. And there you have it, a very abstract design, sort of intense, sort of, anyway, you can describe it yourself, I'm certain. Now, you don't have to use a gradient as a source. You could maybe use part of an image or maybe text. So you can select some text and use that as a source for the pattern. Well, I hope you found this tutorial of interest. Please subscribe to the Graphic Extras channel. Always adding new tutorials about Photoshop. Also, please add some comments. Always appreciated. Also, a dislike or like. Thank you very much.